and welcome back to A View from the Road. I'm Bob Abramson, and in this series of conversations, I chat with various Waltron associates that are out meeting with our clients in the field on a regular basis, and they're sharing what they're hearing on the road and some insights that will hopefully make you, the viewer, your life easier. Today with me is Ken Then, who is one of our service managers. Ken, why don't you take a second just to introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been at Waltron and what you've been doing with us.
I've been with Waltron unofficially about 25 years now. I started as summer help, interning, so I've been in a lot of different departments, production, inside sales, accounting, that type of stuff. But I really fell into my role as service when we really started to ramp up the service department probably about 12 years ago now, and have really just found that to be my area of expertise. And as we grow now, it's more of a manager position, but still out there on the road just as much as was before.
Yes, you are. I do know that you are a busy man from our Monday meetings, in which you seem to be calling in from hither and yon. We were chatting about this call. You mentioned that, hey, this is where plants are coming out of their spring outage periods, and which so you've been talking to a lot of clients, and you really wanted to some certain things percolated and became clear to you about what clients should be doing to get ready for outage when they're going into it, and then when they're coming out of it, what should they be doing? So I think that's a great topic. Again, you've obviously 25 years experience. Wow, you're talking to lots of different folks across different industries. So really, I'm going to kick it off to you. Okay, outages coming up. What should folks be doing to plan for those outages?
Yeah, what really got me thinking about this topic was a lot of our regular quarterly contracts that come up every 3 months for regular maintenance and calibrations. And for a couple customers, that's every 3 months. We had a couple that just weren't lining up with when their outage season was going to be. So it was, hey, let's take a look at this. We can be flexible. They can be flexible. There should be a little love taken care of to the analyzers before you go into outage. And when we're talking outage, we're talking about more than a month or so, not necessarily a 1 or 2 week downtime. We're talking your extended outages where you're going to be a month, 2 months without sample flow to the analyzers. There are a few things that you're going to want to do ahead of time.
So what are those? Let's start out with the do's. What should folks be doing to prepare for these outages?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the analyzer, but a lot of times you're talking pH, you're talking sodium, you have sensors, you have probes, and those probes don't like to dry out. For those, it's just storing them in their storage solutions that they come in. And for a sodium measuring electrode, it's going to be high calibration standard. Sodium reference electrode, it's going to be the KCl refill solution. And storing the probes in that's really all you have to do. The rest of the analyzer can sit there, no problems. And same with pH, you want to store your pH probes in some storage solution instead of letting them just dry out or sit in DI water, because that'll create some bias on the pH electrodes and it'll dry out some of the KCl that might be in a reference cell too.
It seems simple enough. They should create a checklist, maybe 1, 2 weeks before that outage begins. Check your storage solutions, make sure you have them. And if not, you need to be reaching out to your provider, your vendor, to make sure you have someone on hand. I know Waltron, obviously we have solutions for our probes, but we also create
Yep.
reagents for and then solutions standards
Oh yeah.
for
Anyhow.
standards. But you can also, anybody can turn to Waltron. But most important is to reach out to your trusted supplier to make sure they stay wet. Is that fair? Fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Are there any don'ts, like people, things that they're, oh, I'm getting ready for outage, I'm gonna do this, and then, oh, you should not have done that. I don't know. I'm a layman, but I asked the question.
People ask a lot when it comes to the dissolved oxygen, and if you have the new luminescent technology, there is basically no shutdown or maintenance, or you don't have to do anything. People ask, do I have to store this one in solution? And the answer is no, that one can sit out to air. You can certainly turn off the sensor so it's not taking readings, building up its calibration history, but you're not going to do any damage to a sensor like that.
So you said, so using the dissolved oxygen luminescent technology, pretty easy, very low maintenance to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I have a non-luminescent dissolved oxygen. I'm not even sure what that is. I actually had a
A
brief
membrane
conversation
type.
a couple weeks ago with Greg. How
Yep.
easy is it if I want to say, oh, I want to transfer to luminescent? What's that look like to make that transition, and when's a good time to do that?
Oh, it's an easy transition. It usually the sample lines are all going to be able to be reused. It's just a matter of installing the new sensor where the old one was and then putting the new transmitter where the old one was, which again saves you on shutdowns a lot of headaches because a lot of times those membrane sensors have to stay moist, have to be stored properly. And even after they come out of storage, you're going to have to probably remembrane them and go through recalibration and all like that when you get ready to come back online.
All right, sounds easy enough, and probably an outage season is a good time to actually make that switch, I would imagine. Now, we're going into outage season, keep your probes and sensors dry. Anything else that some do's as they're going into these outage seasons that folks that need to be thinking about?
Yeah, when you have analyzers like silica analyzers, which are using a lot of reagents, pumping different reagents into the analyzer for the colorimetric style, you certainly want to not let that reagent sit in the analyzer for an extended period of time. Chances are you're going to have to replace the reagents anyway when you come back online based on time frames, and they're going to be expired. So it's a good idea to remove those bottles, flush anything out with some DI water, and then again, just let the analyzer sit, power on, power off. Doesn't usually matter. But again, it's about getting those chemicals to not just sit in the analyzer. So that way, when you come back, you've got reagents that have precipitated out into lines and pluggages and things like that.
Okay, all right, got it. All right, so now it's a couple months later, we've done our outage, we're coming out of it. What are some of the do's and don'ts that folks need to be thinking about as they're starting to ramp up again?
Yeah, and depending on the outage, whether it's been scheduled and has gone to plan, or if it was unscheduled and maybe not gone to plan, sometimes the water chemistry equipment can fall by the wayside. Sometimes it's ready to go, sometimes it's not ready to go. And obviously, you're looking for a lot of those critical measurements to be reliable and accurate when you're coming online to make sure that your water is good enough for the steam and the rest of the system. So one thing
Is
we've done is
is
to
that a
try
matter
to,
of just of recalibration? Is that what you're talking about as they come online?
yeah, it's recalibration. It's obviously if you've stored your probes correctly, you got to unstore them, put them back into the analyzers, let them run on some DI sample maybe for a little bit, and then run a calibration, make sure they're ready to go. If we're setting up a quarterly service either before an outage or right after or right before coming back online, it's a great time to do yearly maintenance, full retubings, things like that. Make sure everything's cleaned out, ready to go. But when you come online, you're ready to go for summer months or however long it's going to be, hopefully without any issues.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I heard you say fall by the wayside. So what's going on there? And this doesn't sound good if you're trying to keep your plants up and running and contaminant free. What's going on and how do they make sure things don't fall by the wayside?
Usually it's a manpower issue, and it's the techs and instrument supervisors that have had dozens and dozens of projects going on throughout this outage. They've been working long days and they're ready to come back online. And it's just something that sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't happen with some of the instrumentation getting back online and in a good space.
So again, I'm the layman, that Waltron works in different industries or verticals, power, paper pulp mills, petrochemical. Are there certain of those verticals that are notorious for not prioritizing or not looking at their water analysis and water chemistry as you're coming back online? We could say, hey, make sure power plants or whatever, this is important, and you schedule it because you don't want things to go awry. Or is it just
Oh yeah, definitely the power plants. Obviously, they're got a lot more riding on the high pressure steam and things like that. But it's everywhere, and it varies from place to place. Everywhere is a little different based on, again, a lot of times it comes down to manpower and what that priority has been like for them in the past.
got it? Any other tips, tricks, or maybe it's don'ts, other than don't ignore your equipment, that people should think about when they're coming out of the outages?
Coming out of outage, it's always a good idea to, whether it's part of, and I've seen it be part of the regular maintenance, I've seen it also be not part of the regular maintenance during an outage. When you got the sample lines coming from various places in the plants, blowing down those sample lines is very helpful. Get all the dirt and debris that might be building up in them throughout the year. And that way, when you turn on that sample flow to your analyzer, when you're ready to go, you don't just flood the analyzer with all that dirt and things that's been sitting in those lines for months. And then even if you just did do all your good maintenance on your analyzer, it probably looks like it hasn't been done in years right from the start. Again, that can be forgotten is to just do a good blowdown on all your sample lines.
Okay, good tip. It totally makes sense, even for someone like me, not technical, not mechanical. I shouldn't let me near this stuff. So anything else? Do some recalibration, blowing down the sample lines, making sure you not forgetting this stuff. Well, anything else that you want to any other tips?
Yeah, probably the places that we've had the best success when it comes to coming back online are places that have had the ability to make water throughout the outage and can valve DI, even if it's just DI water or some leftover condensate water, to the analyzers a day or two ahead of time, so that again they're ready, they don't have any issues with them, they can calibrate, and that you're getting reliable readings on them before you switch them over to the processed water that's going to be critical for your measurements.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't want to say it's a dry run, maybe it's a wet run, but you
Yeah.
kind of prime the pump there. Okay,
And there's certainly some people, we talked about storing probes. Some people will run DI water through all their analyzers so they don't have to worry about that. That's totally fine too. As an alternative, you got to have a source of water and have that online all the time too. So
depends on where this is happening. All right, I think listen, we're coming out of the outage season. Next going to come in, and fall is around the corner. So I think that this is really good tips, things that people can be using right now as they're coming out of outage season, and then be ready for the fall outage season when that rolls around. And also things to consider when, unfortunately, you have to go shut down because it's unplanned. So these are things that remember to keep in mind. So when you're ready to go up and run, things are probably more hectic. You're going faster.
absolutely.
Think about these things, keep them top of mind, get your checklist ready. And of course, any questions, Ken and his team are there. They'll take a phone call. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ken. I don't want to put you on the spot, but they do take phone calls. They walk people through things. And then again,
Absolutely.
we're on the road all the time.
Yeah. And again, it's a great time to have those annual service visits. And again, moving around other service visits for us has always been a huge positive for what we've been trying to do and be flexible and get in line with everybody else's schedules.
Excellent. All right, Ken, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and for sharing your expertise with our listeners. I'm sure it's much appreciated. I know you probably have to get out on the road soon. So again, really appreciate you making the time.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it.